disclaimers, as we all have to do these days. One is I am working at home. There's a small dog next to me, so if she barks, we'll make her quiet down. Another one is I do have a little frog in my throat. I do not have the virus. I like to point that out. These are the things we have to tell people nowadays. So if you hear me cough, don't worry about me, I'm okay. And so with that, I also hope that all of your situations are well. I hope that you are well. I hope that your friends and your family and your school are all well. These are very tough times. I hope that regardless of the formation you have at your school, is it hybrid, is it both, is it in person, that some of these tips will help. Not all of them will be exactly right for you, so you have to adjust. And so one more small disclaimer, my photos don't all have masks in them because they're older photos, but we certainly do wear them in our school, which we attend full day every day. We have only 2 students that are virtual, so we have a very unique situation. So today what we're going to talk about is we're going to recap some of the best admissions approaches during COVID, rethink outreach, make a new plan, and there's some communication tips during COVID we can send you. And 53%, you see here a lot of different stats in the USA. Some are saying 20% of the schools are seeing drop in enrollment. Some are saying as high as 53%. But the biggest, one of the other important things is that people feel that 21, 22 will be a very tough year, even maybe the worst, excuse me, because of the financial situation will now hit. But we want to ignore that because our work is still the same. And, we have to just plunge ahead and work for the best health of our schools regardless. So as Joanne said, I do have a lot of experience in education. I've had the blessing of working in many great international schools, just very fortunate, one in Italy, one at the United Nations, and also in Washington International. And I have been around. You can see that picture. You can see another disclaimer, which is this is pre-COVID, and this is when I decided to let the hair go. So I've got a little bit different look to me now, but maybe it reflects better with my history here. And so I was just delighted to find this lovely school that we're at now. It's a smaller international school. We have 3 language tracks. So we have French, Spanish, and Mandarin, bilingual tracks leading to the 50%. And we also are IB candidates, and we have aspects of the French back. So, and Singapore math, and we have a social emotional program called Yale. So we're doing quite a bit at the school right now. And so it's actually a wonderful opportunity for me to create outreach events. I don't have to share with you today, but we just came out with our calendar for the next 6 months. We probably have 50 different types of events on there, and I'll tell you a little bit about that later. My daughter did have her IB in Mandarin. So again, she went to the international school in DC. Again, here's a little bit more about Tessa. This is my first headship, which is very exciting. If any of you are in admissions, the old saying is if you're in admissions, you're perfectly sort of situated to go into a headship. I have found that to be 100% true. You just have the same information that many heads have. There's a little bit more to learn, of course. But it's really quite wonderful. Just a little pitch for you if you're personally thinking of moving your career a little bit. Moving into a headship or deputy headship is a very good match for you. And I'm learning that in my new role. Of course, you have to worry about things like, pipes breaking and other things like that. That's a little unusual. Our school lost over, almost 50% of its population in the beginning of COVID, which is a lot. But we were able to really go on and move from there and rebuild that and more. So I think we've also had an election here. I think it may have something to do with it, what my hopes were, but people are actually looking now towards internationalism again. It's popular, it makes sense. And so I think it's a really great time now for international schools. So keep that in mind in your branding as well. You want to talk about that part. and what we need for the future. It's incredibly important what we need for the future of the world, and international schools offer it. So from language all the way down to just global understanding. So outreach marketing is still so important because we do have a new parent body and they're constantly pitched to. Everybody's on Zoom. There's so much social media. You know, there's so many different things going around, but it is the way that we can reach people. We don't allow any adults actually into our school, not even the parents. They have to drop off at the front door. Then we have a process we go through to bring kids in, and no visitors under any circumstances. So everything we do for parents is virtual. And it is really important to do this outreach marketing because people can't come. We do offer some facility tours that are in the evenings after the kids are all gone. And you can do that. We just offer one every other day or so. But parents do need this continued outreach, this continued sense of partnership in your school, maybe so much more now, because they can't come in, because they can't see it, because they can't build community. So how can you do that? How can you create a sense of community for them when they can't physically come there? So we want to do all the typical things in admissions. You still have to do all those things, right? Still have to collect inquiries. You have to be, I've seen through one presentation, 17 touch points. We have an admissions meeting where we'll say, so an application comes in, what are you sending them? Is it thank you for your application, have a good day? Or is it thank you for your application? By the way, here are the 5 points that are important about bilingualism. So every message that you send to them, you want to send what I call a value added message as well. Another message that really talks about information that will educate the parent, but also will tie into the importance of your school. You want to have more calls to action, certainly in your social media, and you want to rewrite your forms. This is really important right now. The old forms may just not be relevant anymore. They may actually have things in them that are not really covering what people need to talk about. You may want to even directly ask them, about their COVID experience, or, how's your family doing? You want to pay attention to these social emotional bits around a family's experience right now, because it's very different. And if you sort of gloss over it and don't pay attention to it, I think you're missing something for them. Can you even get recommendations or grades? What's happening in the sending school? Is it available to the parent to request things? And so what must you have? What is really important in your admissions process? I think we just kind of always do what we did before without really thinking about this. And so I invite you to just have a meeting and review all these forms and think about what's on them and think about what you need in your process, because it's really up to you to find the best mission match to your school in particular. So you want to have regular live informational webinars. You want to have, if you can't do after school types of events, then you want to have good virtual facility tours. We do that. We walk around the school with a computer, and they can see the actual facilities that way. Do it one-on-one, do it as a group. And fly-ins are always good. So fly-ins are where they can have a chance to meet the teachers. We do a very interesting set of events, and it's, I call it, for fun, Storytime Live with an exclamation point. And since we have 3 language tracks, we offer stories in Mandarin by the Mandarin teachers, stories in Spanish by the Spanish teachers, and stories in French by the French teachers, and stories in English by the English speakers. And the children can hear these stories virtually, and then afterward, the teachers are available for questions and answers. So that's a really great way to engage the children, show your language programs if you have them, and also let them meet your teachers, which they love to do. That's one of the missing links right now. People can't get a sense of the teaching. So if they can't get a sense of the teaching, another thing you might do is, as much as you can, videotape lessons from the back of the room, show a teacher in action with kids teaching. That is very effective. People can actually see what their child's going to be experiencing once they get to your school. Fly-ins, that's the sort of the fly-ins with teachers. You can do those with division heads. Just offer just different experiences. Try and think about what they might see on on an actual physical tour, and just try to recreate it as much as possible. We also offer meetups with parents. We don't have older students. We only go to second grade at the moment. We're building a grade every year, but let them meet the parents. If you have a parent organization, this is a perfect role for them, which is a little bit more than just the phone call. You can actually set up Zooms for them. And did you do a competitive analysis? Did you find out what the other schools are doing? Because the questions are getting tougher, right? People have access to a lot more information. And so their questions are getting a little deeper, like not that you should talk about other schools, but you want to know if the other school has, for example, Singapore math, what kind of math program do you have that you can talk about in relation perhaps to a competitor's program. So what makes a good event? It's advertised well in advance with alternate dates and times, because people aren't always available at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. So you want to have some morning events, some evening events. You want to really vary that so that people can get to them. And people are online all the time booking meetings. So you want to give them plenty of time to book this meeting. If you can, it should have more than one speaker. We have our information sessions. We have our whole leadership, which actually is only 6 people, but we all speak. And we try to show video clips, art, children. I put the camera in a way that we can see the school in action behind. This is really interestingly effective. So if you can put the camera in a way, maybe not reveal your children, but as they're passing in the hall, that's a nice, or the nicest view in your school, maybe set the camera up. They don't have to be seeing a blank wall behind them. They, can see the school in action behind them, and that could be also very effective. Let them have lots of different ways to register. Of course, you want to have the school's brand. And again, I really think that some of the success I've had in my career, because I was always an enrollment manager before. I was a special needs teacher, then always enrollment management, and now this headship. But value added is where it's not just about your school. So it's not join us and hear about our school and all the wonderful things we're doing, but it's sessions on lots of other things that they can, again, get value out of, get information out of. The goal is for them to see you as an expert. They want to see you as the leader in X, whatever you do the best. So again, I will, our massive, it's getting massive, but our event calendar that I would share with you if you request it, I'll send it to you. We have information sessions. We have information sessions in French. We have information sessions in Spanish. We have information sessions in Mandarin. That one, if requested, we can have that. We have a talk that I have developed over the years called on the benefits of bilingualism. That is a really great thing that you're an expert on if you're in a school that offers languages. And so, you can find this information, you can build this information, you can write a PowerPoint that just talks about why bilingualism is great for a child and how you do it in your school. I also do something on third culture, which is just something I love to talk about. And third culture is probably, most of you know what this is, but it's going to apply to most of the people in our schools because they come from multicultural backgrounds, the parents usually, and or they're in a country that the child is growing up in a country maybe differently than what they grew up in. That's called third culture, because regardless of where the parent comes from, the child is in a different culture. That's their own culture. So that is a talk that you can develop that's really great as well. And these are value added again, as well as that story time live that I talked about. What sort of, you can look at it like what sort of like tidbit of or gift can you give your viewers that will make it interesting for them and make them see you as, hey, these people really know. They know what they're doing. They're the experts in these fields. We have to become part of this. And again, we talked about this a little bit earlier. You want to make your application simpler and more fun. Make it very clear the application process, because remember, they're juggling everything. They're got a lot of meetings going on, and they want to get all the dates just right. So make it simple for them, clear timelines and steps, and even an admissions calendar. So we will send people an events calendar and an admissions calendar just so they have this information. They don't have to go to the website always and find it. Just make it as simple as you can for them. And if they don't, another thing that we do is, I do observations of the children virtually. I'm sure that all of you are doing that. For little children, the youngest children, I'll explain the way I do that. I go in through Zoom, but then I go dark and turn off my microphone, and I ask the parent just to do a few things with the child, and mostly just play, depending on how young they are, of course. And then for the little bit older, I do a virtual screening through the Zoom. The parent is there too, and actually it's quite interesting to see how the I'm going to go to this next slide, how the parents are interacting with their children, which is something we couldn't see before, right? Usually, at least here, we would have parents drop their children off. They would go in with other children, the teachers would see them, and that was the observation or the screening. But now we can actually see the parent interacting with the child, which is a new level to this. That's pretty interesting and can show you things that you might not have seen before. Let them know in advance the kinds of things, but not exactly what you're going to be doing. For middle and upper school, it's a much deeper, in-depth interview, and I recommend they do that with the division heads, along with any testing or anything else that you require. But keeping in mind, they may not be able to get testing done. So do you want to send them a test, or ask them to write something? And how else, looking at this new way to do things, how else can you ask for their information without doing it sort of like the old way? And just silly things, don't comment in parents' homes, and be ready with tech and control the noise. Of course, I actually, if I am home doing an observation, I do show the little dog, just because little children love that, and it sets the mood for them and it relaxes them. And I try to make the parents as calm and comfortable as possible, with humor or any other way that I can to relax them, because this is a little nerve-wracking. I think it's less nerve-wracking than what we do in terms of observation in the schools. I actually think this is a little less nerve-wracking because they're not seeing other parents, right? They're not comparing themselves, if you will, to other parents. So it can be actually a very nice experience. Here's some questions that you want to ask. Small children may engage or not, in which case you're just obviously observing them. Early childhood, you can ask for them. I hope you can see this. Ask for your favorite toy, or what did you do today, or what did you have for breakfast? And again, the parent can do this. So you just you're getting some information. With elementary, you can ask these types of questions, and again, middle, upper. Here's some ideas of what you might want to ask. But this is very individual. You can create this for your school, again, according to your mission and what you really think you need to know. And then the parent, what I do is I do the child observation. Again, we're all young children, but I do the child observation, and then afterward I do the parent interview. The greatest question is, tell me about your child, and then you have a cup of coffee ready because they're going to talk to you for half an hour or an hour. You can see their face change, and that they light up so much when you ask them to just tell me about your child. And then always I ask, what are you looking for in this partnership? What types of things are you hoping for in this educational partnership? If you can really show your expertise again if you offer your screening in other languages, or your parent interview. Your teachers are there. If you have, again, a language program, they can interpret, or they can ask the questions. And then one thing I think I forgot to mention is if somebody doesn't want to participate in a virtual screening of their child, you can ask them to send in a little video, which we all do anyway in international schools, because some people are far away and they couldn't come to the school to begin with. But they can send a 5-minute video just, doing exactly these types of things, but they don't have to be live if it makes them uncomfortable. And then again, I love to talk about family traditions and practices and culture. And then, of course, half of this should be, well, what can I answer for you? What are your questions? Because that really gives you an opportunity to fine tune those answers and, convince them to come to your school. Admissions teams and staff, at the beginning of this year, my goal was to make sure that everybody in the school felt good. And it is hard right now, especially for in-person teachers. They're coming to school every day that they come to school. We do not have, in the state of New Jersey, we do not have vaccines yet for teachers, which I'm very outraged about. I don't think it's right, because we are interfacing every day. The state of New York actually does and has had educators able to get vaccines, but in New Jersey, we don't have it yet. So they're coming to school every day, and I think they need to be recognized for that and congratulated. And you really want to make sure that your admissions committees are ready to do this new work, this new streamlined work, and you can spread their jobs out a little bit. You can help them be something I like to call concierge, admissions concierge, and this is a person that you probably already do this, but give them 5 people and have them walk these people through every step. Have you gotten your this, and do you have any questions about that? So let others, just individualize this as much as you can. Retention. So retention is tough. It's going to be, harder and harder, I think. So you want to establish a retention committee, and you want to start looking now, at not only at your children and how many are going to leave or considering leaving or staying. We already have done our re-enrollment. We already have it out. This is, again, we aren't bound by the consortium rules as some people are. You may not be able to send yours out yet because you have to wait until a certain date, but we are not bound by that. And so we have our re-enrollment out. And so we want to get a sense now, and we started actually before the holidays, to know, who's going to be coming back. And you want to get that little thing that you're seeing on the right there. That is a program called Bright Wheel. And I don't know if you have a communications program like that with your families, but Bright Wheel is fabulous, I think. And it's a way that, it's a texting program actually, and parents can sign their kids in, but best of all, communicate directly with a parent. A parent can communicate directly with the family, and we can, with the school. And so it's a great source of just keeping communication going. Because honestly, that's another thing about parents right now, is they don't have, visual access to what's happening for their child every day. Imagine that. So, communication tool like this is really, really important. Create a retention sheet where everybody who has suspicion of anybody leaving can put it in, and then at a certain point, you're going to want to contact those. You want to figure out who's the best person to contact those families, and find out, what their plans are. Surveys are always important. You want to really make sure that everybody's happy. And you really want to find out if you have virtual learning. I think it's really important to have somebody talking to those families on a regular basis to make sure that the virtual learning for them is going well. And I would suggest that it's not the teacher, that there's sort of like a third party that they can call or talk to. And because they're going to be judging your school right now on your virtual learning capacities, unfortunately, because it's just the way it is, but that's going to be happening. So you really want to make sure if they are in virtual learning that they're happy with it, just by talking to them. And not all teachers are experts either at virtual learning. So you want to make sure that they have the training that they need, and that they know, how to do it, because it can be very frustrating also for a teacher. So holding on to the newly admitted, you want to create a sense of community for them. You want to have these touch points, going to them constantly. I'm waiting now to get as many as I am going to wait about another month. And then I'm going to have virtual meetups with the new families. So they can meet each other, they can meet, even their kids can meet each other, and they can start to form community. I think we can't overlook this piece. It would be like the play groups that you would have had before for new families. You can do it virtually. And so you want to really just have them. And FYI, this is a fun thing we did. You can start this earlier. We used to do it once they started, but first year information is, and also for your information is FYI, but we would have information sessions for new families. So have, for example, the head of school can come in and talk to the new families and then you can have somebody speak to them on the technology aspects of the school. You can have somebody talk to them from the parent association. Just set up little seminars for newcomers into the school to learn the information that they're going to need going forward. And they really appreciate that. We've even had an FYI session on diversity, equity, and inclusion at our school, or on financial assistance, or just all these topics that are questions in the beginning of your experience in a school. You can sort of like structure these and help them out that way. So if you're developing an outreach plan, the first thing you want to do is analyze your data. So which grades and areas do you need enrollment? If it's third grade girls that's missing in your population, then are there any specific events that you can create that might attract third grade girl families? Or third grade, or whatever it is that you're looking for, what type of information would that exact parent want to know? And then you can create an event around that and hopefully attract some people. You can find mission match organizations. So what this is you want to look around and say, is there, there's no end to the organizations that can help you out there. So is it, if you have a French program, is there sort of a French organization that you can send these events to and try to attract their parents? You can look at other partners such as art studios. You want to be careful to find partners that are mission matches to what you're doing. So if your school is really big in the arts, for example, can you find a local art studio that you can, promote your school at or work with? And it's also, if you're free to do this, because it depends on your school, but can you exchange? Like if you send my newsletter to all of your families, maybe we can, have some information about your art program at our school. That type of organizational cooperation. So again, you want to know what you're known for, and you want to create these events that really match, some for parents, some for kids. And then I think it's really important to do find service organizations to partner with. So for example, we had a big push for the Hoboken Food Pantry in the fall. And what we did is, if people donate, we actually had a box outside of our school. Also, our parents were able to donate. And what we did is we just offered our story time live. And we said, if you donate to the food pantry, you can watch a story in Spanish with your children on the website. It doesn't cost anybody anything. And it's a wonderful thing. We collected a lot of food just by doing that, but by offering a little something in exchange in a type of a service. And it says a lot about your school. It's, of course, we also did something called Angel Tree, and that was completely virtual. But also we advertised it everywhere, and we said, that this particular organization is lovely because it offers you the opportunity to virtually purchase a gift that goes to a hospital, and then it actually goes to a child in the parent's name. So they don't even know that you're involved, and so it's really beautiful in that way. but we promoted that and promoted it in the community, and then talked about the way we value that type of thing in our school. So here's our mission, and you want to look at it. Whatever you do, again, has to match your mission. So, if you don't have, if you don't offer, let's say, I don't know, something like, if having a STEAM lab is not one of your values or one of your realities, you don't really want to have necessarily STEAM events. You want to be careful that it matches, or you don't want to, like, let's say one of your parents owns a clothing store. You wouldn't want to create an event match with that, because it's a retail thing and it's not really something that promotes what's best for children. So these are some events that I created for the last school I was at. This one was really special. And again, this is once you're able to get out there and do things again, unless you can figure out how to do this virtually. We were able to do a food drive. But this one, we actually had families come to the school and bring the food, and in exchange, they got to have these little workshops, these little fun workshops, again, that were mission matches. And these logos that you see there in the poster, those were our partners that we were able to develop. So we had a lot of different types of partnerships, but again, they all matched what we were promoting at the school. And if you notice that poster, the way that these are done, we're not promoting the school as such. This is an important piece of this for outreach marketing. You're promoting the event. And, oh, by the way, it happens to be held through your school or at your school. So that's the value added piece. And then Tessa, as I said, we had this wonderful international food drive at the school, and it was really very, very successful. People are eager right now to help others. So if you can do that, if you can figure out a way to do that at your school that's meaningful, people will see you in a good light, because everybody's, going through this together, and a lot of people want to help, but they don't know how. So, you can make that easy for them. And again, you want to have all the virtual events on a page. You want to have them on a separate page, maybe not even on your admissions page, just a page for events. And then they're all listed there, and people can click in and sign up, invite a friend, and all that. And then you want to expand the concept. This is really important. If you're working with organizations, the connection is that they are advertising your event also. Like, they are sending your event out. We have, for example, an art studio that we work with. They have children that are going or used to go or are going to virtual art classes. So the flyer can go out through them, and then again, you can have a relationship. This is something the school has to talk about. There are schools that would not like to do this because they don't feel that this type of partnership matches their brand, which is perfectly fine. So you do have to figure this out. But I have always found it's interesting how much organizations are interested in getting involved with you and working with you to get the word out. We talked about the language story times. I think this is a real easy thing to do for schools, but other virtual offerings can be around the areas of art, music, nature. Which of these things, again, are big in your school that you can find a partnership and develop? And again, this was a lot of fun. Again, once we're back to reality, or even before that, I found that Starbucks and Whole Foods were incredible partners in this. So when I was collecting the food, they actually let me put a sign and a collection basket in their stores, which, who knew they would do that? But they will do that because they also have to do community service. So they're happy to engage with you. Again, if you can work out a good partnership, they're going to be there for you. And these are just some of the older, before COVID, collection type baskets we had in different stores. It was really very successful. We would collect really truckloads of things. This is one of the years, all the things we collected. And boy, isn't that a great picture to then use around And you can, again, we did this virtually this year, so it's not limited to just in person. And it's people feel good when they give, and you're inviting them, you're igniting them to think about what they can do out there to help. And again, it's so important right now. So I think schools can really function as catalysts in this area to help people find good things to do. That's actually, believe it or not, a person-sized poster in Whole Foods. If you know Whole Foods here in the U.S., it's a very good place to market to our parents because a lot of them shop there. So where is it in your area, and what types of things can you collect? I mean, I was amazed that they allowed this, and there were no other things there. And I think that the reason they allowed us to do it was, again, because it was for the food pantry. It wasn't really for us, if you look at the way the poster looks. And, can you get kids involved in this? Can older children write letters to people in hospitals? There's a lot of people in hospitals right now. How can you, you're spreading the image of your school is what you're doing. So is there a way for the older kids to just even write letters and draw cards? And little children's art is phenomenally, compassionate and beautiful. And so, how can kids get involved also? And you're teaching them how important giving is. We even had our little ones looking at sorting the food and different things like that. So they can get very, very deeply involved in this. You need a strong parent organization, honestly, even though it's very hard to manage right now. You want to really change this up. I love to talk about this. One of my best ideas, I think, is something that I just thought of one day, and it's called Cultural Soup Fridays. You have to use individual containers because of COVID. But what we do is we made a document that the staff can sign up, one person every Friday, to bring in a soup that reflects their culture. So we have a lot of cultures in our school. So we have had some good food, and it's just another thing you can do to motivate your staff and get people, proactive in this time, shift the focus to what we can be grateful for and happy about. And so every Friday we have this beautiful soup that someone has made and brings in for us to share in individual containers. You've got, some different types of time right now. So another thing I've done just to keep everybody sort of happy is I was in the beginning of the year walking around and handing people little cards, but just motivational phrases on them. And that also gave me an opportunity to look at them and see how they were faring during these pressures. So you've also got some extra time. You can be doing a lot of things right now. You can be refining curriculum and improving facilities and just re-examining. I think this is the year for re-examining everything, just everything we do, and figuring out, does it still fit? Is it still relevant? And then you do want to look at the parents' businesses. And again, you don't necessarily want to partner with them if it's not exactly a match, but they still might advertise for you. They still might take your information sheet. Now you've got all these wonderful events coming up. Would they put it in their store? Would they send it out to their constituents? And how else can you involve current parents? And you want to, of course, recycle all of your emails. And if you have alumni, certainly get them involved. That's a very good thing to do right now. This was, again, the other school. These were our visual partners. I actually asked permission and took their logos and put them. Again, this is not for everybody. Many schools might want to discuss this first, but we had Nature Center, we had a Nutrition Center, we had some dance places, we had performing arts schools, and these were on one of our pages in our website, just our different partnerships. And again, service is so important. We did serving and also the ability to serve populations and community that may not be able to come to your school. And what I mean by that is people can go to your events, even if they're not potentially going to come to your school. The Storytime Lives are great for that. or, the parent information about, third culture and bilingualism and those types of things, anything that you can offer educationally, you're also helping, other people in your community. And then, maybe they won't attend, but they will talk about you and pass the word on that you're doing all these wonderful things. Another thing which we've done are ebooks, and these also are very, very powerful and very, very interesting to people. Finding the best school for your child. I do one of my webinars that I do in the big events thing is called Admissions 101. So in Admissions 101, what I talk about is what is a private school. In this one is what is an international school. What is an admissions process and how do you navigate that and what does it look like and what do I expect? And it's a primer. It's a general primer for admissions for parents, right? So it's generic, but it's written by me. So, it has my school in it. This has been very successful, honestly. And we did one for finding the preschool, finding the best school. And then for the middle years, you want to think about what's hard for them is navigating the middle years. So we had another one, and that was a wonderful ebook. I also included acronyms in the back of it, which was fun. So people could, they don't always know what these words mean, right? What is STEAM? What is individualized? What is differentiation? What is, some curricular aspect? Depending on where you are, there's probably organizations with acronyms. What is ECIS? What does that mean to a parent, right? And where is that coming from? So just informational. And these, again, were extremely popular. And again, here's some of the ebook topics you could write on. How to support your child's learning at home during quarantine. Big one. Nobody's born knowing how to do this. They need help, so can you write an ebook on that? Can you give a talk on it? Third culture, I've talked about immersive language. What are kids going to need in the future? And how do you figure out what the best preschool is? How learning Chinese enhances math. That's a great topic, new research coming out on that. And then I talked about, the admissions 101, and no one can ever get enough of social emotional learning. Right now, parents are, again, looking, there's a problem going on out there. Kids are getting sad and depressed, and, we can't make sense of COVID. Just imagine what a 5-year-old is doing with this. So can you give them information? Can you help them know where to turn, and so forth? So you want to get back to your action plan. This is, again, very important. It's a great opportunity to do this with these wonderful sets of information that you've now created, these wonderful events. Send them to these people. Send them to educational consultants and relocation agencies. See who you can make as a partner through the events, through showing them your events in all of these different types of organizations. You want to always keep your eye on your feeder schools and so forth too. They have teachers. We used to bring teachers in for lectures from the feeder schools, and you can do that virtually. So what are the preschool teachers? If you have a preschool that feeds to you, what do those teachers really want to know? And can you provide a lecture for them? And then again, these are a few more ideas. You want to definitely stay in touch with your local area. We're going to be, it's thinking about the other side of COVID, because it will come, right? It's going to happen. And so what are you want to be ready for doing once you reach there? So start lining up your ideas now. Advertising, again, lots of different ways to do that. Make your ads appealing and have, varieties, different sources of how you're going to, present them. They want to look different, a little bit different. And so your turn tonight, whatever, when you have some time, what you want to do is you want to examine your mission. Think of area organizations that would make a great match. Brainstorm events that you can, offer. that would benefit both and is COVID safe. And you can start small. You can think about one. I've thrown a lot of ideas at you today, but you can start with one idea. Think about what your school is best at. Again, if you have a language program, you've got something right there that you can talk about bilingualism and culture, and offer story times in different languages. Many of you are probably doing that already. And don't forget English, because that's important too if you're in the US. And then, you know, offer it and see which things are successful. And I like to talk about one thing I did. You know, not all of these events are going to have 50 registrants. You just have to try it. You know, so if the event is not as successful as maybe you had hoped, you know, change it up next time. Just keep trying different ideas. And all you need is determination, a process, and time. And so I would say good luck to that. I do have a bonus section here written by a friend of mine and you can download this once you get the PowerPoint. And it is 10 tips for communicating during COVID. And it's really, really nicely written. Basically, these are the 10 tips, but she goes a little more in depth about how to do it. And please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you get started with any questions.
Thank you very much, Kathleen. That was fantastic. Some really, really great takeaways that I know that schools will be able to do straight away. I love the idea of the story time. Yes, amazing thing. So I will share the presentation with everyone after the webinar, so you can download those useful top tips as well. If you have any questions for Kathleen, feel free to pop them in the chat box. Make sure that you are asking to panelists and attendees, so everyone can see. Yeah, that was great, Kathleen. Some really, really good.
Oh, okay. Great. Well, again, if no one does have any questions, they're probably swimming in their heads right now. Trying, what did you? All that stuff. Again, I'm most happy to help you. If you want to call me, I'll look at your website, or email me is better. I'll look at your website and see, you know, kind of what you do, and maybe I can come up with a suggestion for you of where you can get started.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Kathleen.
Thank
you all for joining today. I hope you have a lovely afternoon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay safe.